Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, for round 3 of the High Point Racing Imsa series, we head to the Lone Star State, to Austin, Texas, the Circuit of the Americas, for what should be an exciting full throttle, fast-paced blast around this particular circuit. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Racer Nexus, and up here in the broadcast centre, it's Alex Goldschmidt. Alongside me, the returning Brian Zinn, and our man behind the scenes, our producer, Marshall Crocker. Are here with you all the way through until the end of round 3, and what is going to be a high-speed doubleheader, not just here in the Lone Star State, but also we'll be heading next week to the home of British motorsport, to Silverstone for round number 4. 2 races already in the books at Imola and Spa-Francorchamps. Next week we go to Silverstone before we head to the World Centre of Racing at Daytona, before a week's break before we head to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada, on round 6 on September the 3rd. Watkins Glen, Interlagos, Monza and Portimao round out the Season 6 calendar. And more to the point, we also have to thank the sponsors of HPR as well. First of all, Hymo Setups, providing professional sim racing setups used by all HPR racing drivers and helps elevate the standard of racing across all classes. Each of our class winners in GTP, LMP2, GTD and GTD Pro will take home a 1-month Hymo subscription. Monster Designs are up next, providing custom race liveries, professional designs and branding for drivers and teams. Next up, our friends over at AdminBox, which is an organisational tool. This helps with regards to support for broadcasting, race control and operations, supports league operations and structure. Plus, we have 2 new additions to that as of last week. Smile Theory, based out of Monmouth County, New Jersey, providing smile design, veneers, Invisalign and dental implants with natural results. And Colorist Art Supplies, based also out of New Jersey, providing high quality materials, professional custom framing and expert-led art classes for all skill levels. Now, as we are heading into the final few moments here in time qualifying here at this 3.427 mile 20 turn circuit that runs anti-clockwise, opened back in 2012. Let's have a look at the standings as they are right now after the opening 2 rounds. And first of all, we will head to GTP. Ryan Frankenberry leads by 9 points ahead of Adrian Puebla, with Adolfo Perez, last season's champion, rounding out the top 3, with Donald Ingham, Alberto Santiago, Landon Stewart, Andrew Bruce, Chris Nauman, Lucho Martinez, Will Atom, Derek Tyndall and a few others there in the mix. Next up, LMP2, Nicolás Sanchez leading Carlos Ruiz Padilla and Jace Larson. who round out the top 3, with the likes of Ryan Anderson, Jason Blaine, and Matthew Mitchell looking to move up the order here at COTA. Next up, it's GTD Pro, and Daniel Pino, the man from Chile, leads the way by a big margin. That's 19 points ahead of Guilherme Chavez, with Jacob Grubb rounding out the top 3. Christian Ruiz, Matvey Kalstov also in the mix. And lastly, GTD itself, with Curtis Policy, the man from Canada, leading the way by 15 points ahead of Pierre-Etienne Laporte. Nicolas Lafrance rounds out the top 3, with Andrew Davis, Landon Duggar, Donald Powell, and Chai Sean Green rounding out the top 7. And with that, well, let's welcome him back in. We missed you last week, Brian Zinn, but good to have you back in the fold here at COTA. And obviously, we were talking on air. You're located just 20 minutes outside of this fantastic circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, was under the weather last week, but what a week to return to the booth. Absolutely love COTA. It is my home track, and I seem to be in the minority of people that quite enjoy everything about it. But I'm excited. Multiclass racing is a forte of COTA. All the F1 elitists can catch me in the comments if you disagree with that. But as you said, we were talking off air, and COTA is much more of a sports car track than an F1 track. Don't at me. But it's going to be fantastic racing. Round 3 of this 10-round championship, Alex, and as qualifying is wrapping up, I'm expecting a lot of action here tonight.
Yeah, just some of the keys to the race here tonight. You've got to manage the track limits here at COTA, especially at 1, the S's turns 3 to 6, and of course turn 19. If your name's Max Verstappen, that's normally 16, 17, and 18. Don't at me on that one. Dictate faster class passes. Hold your line, prioritize exit speed, and also pit strategy is going to be very, very crucial. But turn 1, up a steep incline of 133 feet into a wide blind apex. But we have got our GTP and LMP2 cars out on track, and it is the number 26 BMW of Landon Stewart that is leading the way, and he is nearly 3/4 of a second quicker than the man from Mexico, Adolfo Perez, as we are 14 seconds to go until time qualifying. Jacob Gruber's taken pole in GTD Pro, Landon Duggar pole in GTD, and Jace Larson looks to have done the business here in LMP2, but hopefully Ken Clodin might be able to close down on in. But again, one of the things that we were also talking about off air was the fact that GTPs, as to checking this out for qualifying, GTPs are outranking in terms of number size when it comes to the grid here in this series, because of course for those that do watch Racer Nexus, we also have this coming Sunday 9 p.m. Eastern, the next round of HBR GT World Challenge, which is heading to Miami, funny enough. It's nice to see that a few of the drivers are getting stuck in with the GTP machinery here, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Adrian Puebla go and pip Landon Stewart for the pole on the final lap. You love to see it. The Ferrari heading to the top of the qualifying order, running the only car into the 157s, and squarely so with a 157.894.
Yeah, so the circuit itself, it's just over 3.4 miles, 20 turns, 11 to the left, 9 to the right, runs anti-clockwise, opened back in October of 2012. And more to the point, we will very shortly be going on to the grid, where we are set to have the best part, I think, nearly of 30 cars set to head up the hill, the 133-foot incline into the blind left-hand turn number 1, which pretty much comes back onto itself as Ryan Anderson pulls the left-hand side. Nicolas Lancier's in the number 51 car. It looks to be, oh well, that's not exactly how you want to end your qualifying run, by readjusting the front panel on the Dallara P217 and breaking the steering whilst you're at it. But that brings qualifying to a close, and it is going to be Adrian Pueblo that is going to put it on pole position ahead of Landon Stewart. So once again, it is going to be Ferrari versus Porsche. So 60 minutes will be on the timer. Everyone will have to take a mandatory pit stop. One of the other things I want to talk about here, Brian, is tyres. COTA is a very, very heavy circuit when it comes to tyre deg.
Absolutely, it is. I was talking to my teammate Derek Tyndall, who's in GTP, before hopping in the broadcast booth here, and he did a full stint, and his rear tires were down in the low 60%. So expect full tire changes to be happening. I don't know if anybody can really get away with just doing maybe right side tires, but definitely those that can take care of their tires will be rewarded in the end.
Yeah, so don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We're already getting closer and closer to 1,100 subscribers here on Racer Nexus, and it's a real pleasure to have you all along for the ride here at this fantastic facility. Of course, I'm very much in the same vein as yourself, Brian, that this being more of a sports car track, as the session has concluded for qualifying and we are getting ready to race. And it is going to be Adrian Pueblo that is going to start from pole position. Landon Stewart will be alongside on the front row of the grid. Row 2, Adolfo Perez and Ryan Frankenberry. Next up, it's Cadillac versus Acura. Derek Tyndall and Donald Ingham Jr. rounding out row 3. Lucho Martinez and Andrew Bruce, Caddy versus Acura again on row 4. Wig Santiago and Tim Keane round out the top 10 overall, with Travis Stevens rounding out the GTP field in 11th position. Then we go over to the LMP2 side of things. It's going to be Ryan Anderson that's going to start from pole position. Jace Larson will be alongside him. And then Ken Clodin, Jason Blaine, Carlos Ruiz Padilla, and Nicholas Lanciers round out the field. 6 cars in LMP2. Pro for GTD, Jacob Grube and Christian Ruiz will be first and second in the division, ahead of Matbek Kalstov, with Guilherme Chavez and Daniel Pino rounding out the 5 strong competitors in that one. GTD, Landon Duggar in the 169 Lamborghini takes pole position by just over half a second in the class, ahead of Pierre Laporte, very much like it was last time out, just 1 week ago. Andrew Davis and Will Atom, Aston Martin and BMW on the second row of the grid. For that, Gonzalo Abascal in the number 17 Sol Mercedes will have Donald Powell alongside Jay Allegrini and John Weinreich round out the 29 strong grid. But before we get the pace lap underway, we have to give our thoughts and prayers to a fellow member of the HPR community, Jason Lepan. Recently suffered a serious accident at work, so our thoughts are with him and his family. So, Jason, get well soon, buddy. We look forward to having you back with us on the track very, very soon indeed. But now the iRacing safety car, the BMW M2 Cup car, leads the field. And this is one of those moments here, Brian, where the track temperature's changed. We're at 32 degrees centigrade track temp, 29 air, which basically makes it 88 and 82, and that is not what Adrian Puebla wanted to do on the formation lap.
Nope, I was just going to comment that cold tires are going to be a factor on lap 1, and we didn't even get to lap 1 as demonstrated perfectly there by our pole sitter. It's very easy, especially in this technical part of Sector 3 at COTA, to lose your footing, and, well, as demonstrated, thankfully the F1 standards have made the walls a country mile away from the racing surface, so he was in no danger of hitting anybody, and everybody else behind him was heads up to not run into the stricken Ferrari. But the order has been reset. Everybody is back where they need to be, Alex, and, well, outside of a little bit of embarrassment that we captured live on air, we'll be set to go racing here shortly.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to remind Jan Santiago Barrios about what happened at the beginning of one particular HPR season earlier on this year, hitting the wall on the high side of the banking at Daytona. But the pace car is in pit lane. It's Ferrari versus BMW on the front row of the grid as GTP is set, ready to go here for 60 minutes at Circuit of the Americas. We're ready to get the revs up here for round 3, season 6, High Point Racing, Imsa, here at COTA in the Lone Star State just outside of Austin, Texas, and we're green, and it's the rundown up the 133 feet incline into the blind left-hander here at turn 1. as Landon Stewart goes swinging it wide to the outside of Puebla, but the Ferrari keeps a tight line in with Ryan on board briefly with the number 26 BMW M V8 Hybrid Evo. So smaller kidney grills on that BMW, but Puebla has already got the jump as LMP2 is underway. Ryan Anderson has bolted away from Jace Larson. Ken Clodin rounds out the top three as GTD Pro has gotten underway. Jacob Groove going with the, well, Christian Ruiz has gone with the Miami Special, it looks like. He's gone very much blue and white rather than red and white like you see with him in GT World Challenge. But Jacob Groove channeling his inner McLaren on a Ferrari, which is quite interesting. There's Landon Duggart, who has got behind him. I think that is going to be the McLaren, Guilherme Chavez, who is very much in the thick of things. But meantime, Stewart has got Adolfo Perez. 2 is outside on the long run down from T11 to T12. The Porsche 963 Hybrid swings its way to the outside of the corner. Stewart covers it off nicely. As there is Wig Santiago getting through on Tim Keen. Looks like someone had a bit of a lock-up. Might have been Andrew Bruce just up ahead. But at this early stage at the moment, well, Travis Stevens didn't make the start. Daniel Pino didn't make the start. So we've got 28 cars in 4 different categories here racing at COTA. And a fairly clean opening lap here, Brian. Touch wood.
Yeah, not trying to put commentator's curse on anybody, but by COTA standards, it was a very clean opening lap, as you said. Certainly turn 1 with that rise up 133 feet, as you alluded to, Alex, and it funnels down into a tight hairpin as you see the LMP2 making a pass on a couple of GTPs. This was something that was brought to my attention as well before we came on air, that some of the fast LMP2s are lapping at the same pace as some of our slower GTP drivers. So not something we're used to seeing at most of these tracks, Alex. But to finish what I was saying, that funnel down into the tight hairpin of turn 1 rivals Monza sometimes for chaos on these race starts, especially in multiclass. But our drivers doing very well, all 28 of them, to get away clean as we...
T1, now they're going into at Silverstone for Evo. And coming back to over half a second point that Brian was exactly right in the GTD AM. Be heading to its last few moments at Zandvoort. Davis trying to close in. This is BMW versus Aston Martin. So Munich versus Gaydon. Will Atom with a very striking livery on that BMW M4 GT3 Evo. And that's one of the other things that we do like to see here, Brian. And this is something that I always bring up on a regular basis, is the creativity when it comes to liveries here on the iRacing service.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that mirrors real life, there's been some fantastic real-world liveries. Anybody that's a fan of Rexy would be well aware that they just revealed their paint scheme. The Bushy Rex, the samurai ancient ancestor to Rexy that will be running at the Suzuka 8-hour. iRacing is joining forces with Absolute Racing. And so, yeah, just a fantastic... diversity that we get to see on these cars, and really that's the beauty of sim racing, Alex. You can let your mind run wild with crazy ideas, and you can have 16 different liveries on one car, which when you're not paying for the vinyl wrap, it's easy to do.
Yeah, I'm wondering who's picking up the tab, whether it's iRacing or Absolute Racing that are going to be doing that, because the Suzuka 8 Hours, part of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, part of the bigger microcosm that is SRO. Donald Powell, the 86 Corvette, trying to close in on Mexico's Gonzalo Abascal, who effectively can class this as a home race. Of course, with Formula One, now that the Mexican fans have 2 circuits to visit this season, where they can cheer on Checo Perez in the Cadillac F1 team alongside Valtteri Bottas. But again, we're seeing a little bit more action. Derek Tyndall with Lucho Martinez and Donald Ingham Jr. So 2 caddies with an Acura in close proximity. And Donald Ingham running in the number 34 Misfits racing car. good to see that Acura still gets a lot of love here on the iRacing service. But again, we were talking about this on air. We've got several different manufacturers. I think we've pretty much got, yeah, we've got all 5 GTP cars that are currently used on the iRacing service represented. So it's Ferrari leading from BMW from Porsche. Then we got 3 Caddies, and then the 2 Acuras, and then a further 3 Porsches down on the timing and scoring. But Adrian Puebla at the moment leading Landon Stewart. Adolfo Perez, however, is starting to reel them in, hook, line and sinker in the Composite Performance 92 963 hybrid, and he just set the fastest tour of the race, a 1:58.434, and that was a significant amount quicker than Puebla by the tune of about 0.8 of a second. He was over 0.6 quicker than Landon Stewart in the BMW. So these cars seem to be evenly matched at the moment.
Yeah, I just want to point out, looking at timing and scoring, Landon Stewart actually ran a faster lap than Adolfo Perez, but he had a track limits infringement at some point on that lap, so it did not count as an official lap. But I also wanted to point that out as you see Landon Stewart is coming under attack from the Porsche of Adolfo Perez as they're weaving their way down the long back straightaway towards turn 11, heading into the brake zone. Looks like the BMW's got a little bit of an advantage there, but the BMW seems to get tire in its temperature in its tires a little bit better or a little bit quicker than the Porsche does. Is Lucio Martinez, he was hunting down Derek Tyndall, but he's had a moment into turn 11. Looks like, I can't tell if he's had any damage there. No, he's fallen off the back of Tyndall here before, so I'm suspecting this is just going to be a lockup. Oh goodness, he gets really deep in the brakes, just loses where he's at on the track and throws it sideways to avoid getting into the back of any competitor. So well done to Lucho there. It was very reminiscent, Alex. I don't know if you remember in the very early days of COTA, there was a massive accident in the, I think it was the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, but there was a Nissan Z that went off in the days when there was a gravel runoff in turn 11 there and actually went all the way deep into the tire barrier. Just one of the highest speed accidents I've seen ever at any racetrack. Thankfully, the driver walked away. That was very strange. It looked like Andrew Davis and Will Adom were very slow coming out of turn 11 there.
Yeah, I think I've just been looking that up, actually. It was a 370Z, and that was Tim Bell behind the wheel, and that was slamming into the barrier at about 135 miles an hour and suffered brake failure at 154 coming off of the back straight heading into turn 12. Looking at the replay here, on board with Will Atom, yeah, Andrew Davis.
Speaking of brake failure.
Well, he definitely decided to go late on the brakes and, like literally Davis parks it on the apex, Atom slams on the brakes and then goes, well, right. But Andrew Davis has done the sporting thing, which is just just basically, that's his way of apologising to Will Atom, but that's put him at the behest of Gonzalo Abascal, the man from Mexico, who's up the inside, goes a little bit deep into the corner, but manages to rotate it on a dime, going through T1. That was a good overtake there by Abascal. We've seen it in the first couple of opening rounds from the number 17 Mercedes, where he's been there or thereabouts, and then there's a bit of a mistake that's made, and it really compromises his race. But yeah, Andrew Davis, he definitely was challenging his Danny Rick on that one when he sent it up the inside of Will Atom at T12.
Yeah, and it was a little clumsy, but I think Andrew Davis realized that was a little bit of a cheeky move on Will Adom and looked to pull over to give the spot back. And Will Adom was like, I'm going to try and cross you over. Never mind. Not expecting the Aston to have pulled over, trying to parallel park his Aston on the inside curb of turn 11 there, but eventually gave the spot back. So tip of the cap to Andrew Davis for being the sporting gentleman, as Ryan Frankenberry is coming under pressure from Derek Tyndall, the battle of the Cadillacs for 4th place. Yeah,
Frankenberry, let's not forget, actually won the season opener after drama with Adolfo Perez. He got a black flag on the last lap, which was what he did not need. Then ends up getting hit with a 35-second post-race time penalty. But Frankenberry still very much in the mix. Another one of the Misfits Too Slow Racing entries. Started 4th, holds on to 4th at the moment. But some drivers are really making some moves. We're going to have a look at a replay here. Now, this is up into T1. Tim Keen in the Porsche 963, the number 1 car. Oh, he just goes straight on at T1. Not too sure if there was an issue there, because that looked very uncharacteristic, and he's just returned it to the garage. I think he might have parked it. I'm wondering whether he's had a hardware or software failure, because that does not look normal to me, because you would have thought he would have turned it in left. But Derek Tyndall still closing in on the Misfits Racing caddy of Ryan Frankenberry. As well, Adrian Puebla, has he had a bit of a misstep, I wonder, because Landon Stewart and Adolphe.
Yeah, I think something has happened to Adrian Puebla, as this is now a 3-car battle for the lead, Alex, and we'll have to see if we can catch a replay of what happened. It looked like there was a puff of smoke, so I'm not sure if there was a lock-up brake or potentially a slide that was captured there, but definitely looking at the times, well, last lap around for Adrian Puebla was 58.6. Landon Stewart and Adolfo Perez were both a 10th faster than each other. 58.5 to Landon Stewart and a 58.4 to Adolfo Perez. So the lap times wouldn't say that he had an issue. So perhaps just good old-fashioned running them down. As we see Lucho Martinez here, he's coming under, or applying pressure to the Acura of Andrew Bruce in front of him. Andrew Bruce rocking that Tron liveried, the neon green outline along the body panels. Very sharp on the Acura with the body lines. I have to say, you were touching, Alex, on the representation of all 5 GTP manufacturers, and it's nice that we'll be able to continue having Acura in the sim, even though they won't be in GTP next year, as they will be winding down their operations at the end of the season, which was very unfortunate to see, along with a couple of announcements coming out of the GTD Pro ranks after the Road America 6-hour last weekend. Namely, Paul Miller Racing is going to be revamping how they look, and FAF Motorsports as well is potentially going to be ceasing operations as well. So unfortunate for them. FAF Motorsports is always a fan favorite. But speaking of Lamborghinis, we've got a battle across a couple of them here, with Pierre Laporte trying to run down the GTD leading Lamborghini of Landon Duggar, the 169 driver, holding his own through the beautiful S's section. That shot we had earlier, thanks to our brilliant producer behind the scenes, of just watching the cars flow back and forth left and right, was absolutely fantastic. But so we ride on board the nose cam of Pierre Laporte here, looking at the back of his fellow Lamborghini stablemate. Just falls a little bit behind, running out of turn 9, heading down into the heavy braking zone for turn 10. Got to get a good exit here. That'll set up the drag race down the long back straightaway and into the heavy braking zone at turn 11. They've got the McLaren up ahead of Guillaume Chavez, just out of reach. That is a Pro Class McLaren, so that would just be a position overall. Absolutely gorgeous color scheme, that neon yellow, highlighter yellow color with the black, satin black accents on the McLaren just goes so well. As Gonzalo Abascal, a Mexican driver, he's trying to put a move on the 33 BMW. He's dead even. Last of the late breakers into turn 11. Who's it going to be? The 33 is going to try and cross over, but Abascal gets that move done and dusted as they work their way through the tight technical section of 12, 13, 14, and 15. Back up front, Adrian Puebla. He's holding station over the BMW of Stewart and the Porsche of Perez. That gap closed up over the last few laps, but since they've caught in each other, nobody's really been able to make a move here. Have to wonder if you're Landon Stewart or Adolfo Perez, you're using this opportunity in the draft on these long straightaways to do some fuel saving, maybe save some tires, not want to put some pressure on right now. There's still just under 45 minutes left to go, so no reason to push overly hard, especially at an abrasive track that is COTA with these hot track temps. As you see, Perez drops a little bit back through the technical triple apex right-hander, 16, 17, 18, but he closes right back up in the brake zone for turn 20. He's going to try and get a good exit here, but Landon Stewart's got the best exit out of all three of them as he's tucked up in the draft of the Ferrari of Puebla in front. Doesn't seem to have the top speed, Alex, though, of that Ferrari, as he can't really close up in the draft and take advantage of the better brakes in the BMW to get a move done into turn 1.
Yeah, well, I would have thought at this point that maybe Landon Stewart might have a little bit more heat into those tyres as someone has kicked up the dirt a little bit further up the field. But nevertheless, there's still plenty of this race left to go here, Brian, so I think the terminology would be never say never on that point.
Absolutely, and for anybody that's keen-eyed that's watching, looks like there's been some cloud cover, or perhaps the sun is setting as the track has gotten a little bit darker, and well, we see the culprit of kicking up the dust. That was the Rexy back there, as all three of our leaders have cleared him going through turn 10. Down into turn 11, that is the sketchy paint job on that Rexy. They've got about 6 of them now, so you have to check and see which version somebody's running. But, well, we had the battle of 2 GTD Lamborghinis, and now we got the battle of 2 GTD Pro Ferraris. As you said, Alex, a little bit of a McLaren Marlboro scheme on that one. What the Ferrari should have ran for their Miami F1 livery instead of that really kind of half-hearted, let's put a little bit of blue on the engine cover, but keep the car red.
Yeah, I think the thing is they could have gone full blue and gone like the old school, sort of like there was a particular edition of a Ferrari 250 GTO that inspired the blue colour for more road cars that Ferrari produced, including the 296 Speciale, which is, I think, just been released quite recently. But again, we're now seeing that maybe the cold, the cloud cover might help with regards to the tyres for Landon Stewart as Adrian Puebla brings us on to lap 10 of this race with just under 42 minutes on the ticker. I think it's just been a case of wondering how this is going to parlay out, because now they're catching back marker traffic, and they've got, that's going to be Donald Powell, that's going to be who's currently running 24th, and no surprise here with a big speed differential. I mean, we're seeing the GTPs top out anywhere close to 190 miles an hour, and I think the fastest in the speed trap last time round was Adolfo Perez at 191.3, but Puebla's now having to wait until he can get that move done on Donald Powell, and this is going to bring Stewart and Perez into play, and you just see how quick the closing speeds and the passing speeds are as that Corvette gets left in the wake. And then there's Andrew Davis and Will Atom up next. So this is going to be quite a crucial point in the race itself here, Brian, because with back market traffic, the GTPs have to do the unwritten rule, which is, as the faster vehicle, make the move with plenty of space for both parties, and it's got to be a clean manoeuvre. Whereas Andrew Davis decides to go late on the brakes, keeps out of gets the hell out of Dodge very, very quickly, saying, I do not want the top 3 overall closing in and possibly sandwiching me into a potential incident. So, but no, Donald Powell has ended up, well, that's somebody else that's had a problem, and that is Gonzalo Abascal. Will Atom is off the circuit, and he has just lost 3rd to the Mexican and has lost 4th to Andrew Davis. So it's Abascal that had the contact, lost his rear bumper on the Merc, and Will Atom has just decided to exit stage right, keep out of the way. I think it was contact that was initiated by Adrian Puebla, so they go through turn 12. Davis keeps out of the way, and very shortly I think we will see a bumper coming into the shot. Well, not quite there, but it was just the fact that as soon as Adrian Puebla closed in on Gonzalo Abascal, we're going to see the replay here when it all goes a little bit wrong for the man in the number 17. So he's just trying to get through. Oh, he rotates on his own. Will Atom hits him, so my mistake there. So sorry to Adrian Puebla, but Will Atom, that steering wheel is definitely full left hand down, so there's further damage. So it was left front connecting with left rear, And Tyndall and Frankenberry have gone wheel to wheel for the briefest of moments. Donald Powell nearly getting caught up in the crossfire there.
Yeah, a little bit of a hip check on the exit from Tyndall there, but also looked like a dab of the brakes to slow up and allow Frankenberry to slot back in front, saying, sorry, buddy, I don't want to gain a position on you that way there, but Donald Powell saying, can you guys go play Argy Bargy somewhere else, please? I don't want to be involved in it, as we've got a battle here, 3 LMP2s battling for third in class. This is a train led by Jason Blaine, but he's got Ken Cloden and Carlos Ruiz Padilla in the mix as well as they're coming up on lap down GT cars. Oh, goodness me, Jason Blaine. I don't know if netcode saved him there or they actually made contact, but that was very awkward for all of our LMP2 cars right there.
Yeah, it looked like there was
me.
there was definitely contact. So that has not helped. I think that's I'm wondering if that is that Matt Baker, or is that, no, that's more than likely Jay Allegrini, I believe, in the number 13 Ferrari, which has been confirmed. Thank you very much to our producer behind the scenes, Mr. Marshall Crocker, for quickly jumping to that vehicle. But yeah, he got a little bit of a touch there. So again, it's just that unwritten rule that I was talking about just a few moments ago, Brian, whereby some drivers, you know, because we've got 4 different classes running with each other, it's always going to come to that, you know, that sort of like testing the litmus paper, if you will. You know, if it's pH neutral, it's going to show at one color, whereas if it's pH heavy or acidic, it's going to go a completely different color. So I think it's just more a case of now, it's the combination of looking at track limits, making sure that you're negotiating your way through the back marker traffic, as up ahead we've got Pierre Laporte and Landon Duggar. They are battling away, the 2 Lamborghinis, over the GTD class lead. So these 3 you're going to see. Look at the speed, folks. Puebla just goes, yep, to the left. You know, just waiting to hear Mumbo number 5 ringing my ears in a minute, because just, oh, Perez with a bold move into T12. Gets through on Landon Stewart, and then straight away they've got Landon Duggar stuck between the, well, that's going to compromise Perez, and Duggar is trying to get the run on him. But again, it's just about making these moves nice and neat and tidy. The GTPs are having to wait, and by doing that, it's then going to back people up, and it's going to give some an advantage, because Adrian Puebla is now 1.1 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Adrian Puebla coming out the big winner there, as not only did they have to navigate the slower GT Lamborghinis, but there was also some infighting between Adolfo Perez and Landon Stewart there, as Perez, oh my goodness, came so close to wiping out the Lamborghini of Duggar there, as he was trying to get the 963 woed up into turn 12 there, and then fighting side by side as they fight through turn 15. Duggar saying, you guys go through, I'm going to hang out here on my side of the track. And finally, both of our GTP runners are able to navigate around the outside as they go through that triple right hand 16, 17, 18 complex there.
Yeah, in the meantime, as we are 35.5 minutes still to go until we hit the checkered flag for round 3, we have Nicolas Lancier's done one thing, and he's put in the Discord chat for Imsa saying, I'm just going to circulate for points, I'll stay out of everybody's way. Well, unfortunately, Tim Keane can't do that because he's retired, so I'm wondering what happened to him, whether it was a hardware or firmware issue. Wig Santiago out after lap 1, and a non-starter for Daniel Pino, the man from Chile in the number 63 HPR Ford Mustang. This is a great battle here between Jacob Grube and Christian Ruiz. Matt Kalsdorf is now with them, so it's a trio of prancing horses battling for the GTD Pro class lead and for the victory. Guilherme Chavez is about 5.8 seconds behind, but Landon Stewart now is ahead of Adrian Puebla, as Puebla has rotated, and oh dear, That is not what you want to do. I think that's T12 coming off the back stretch. So Adrian Puebla puts him right into the clutches of Adolfo Perez, and well, let's put
Perez
it this
has
way.
damage as well.
Oh, so it looks like it might have been a bit of contact. So, oh yeah, right, yeah, left front into right rear, and Puebla then spins. Stewart goes, right, I'll keep out of the way, and yeah, the Ferrari and the Porsche have a second touch directly after that. So Landon Stewart now has nearly an 8-second advantage. We're going to see on, oh, you can understand there's going to be a little bit of frustration. Puebla being turned around by his countryman. And Jay Allegrini has just got a black flag, so has got to return to the pit, so has hit the 15 incident point limit for the first drive-through, then it's every 10 afterwards. So now the heat is on for these two Mexicans because it's Ferrari versus Porsche. And more to the point, Landon Stewart is going to be laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. This takes all the pressure off of Landon Stewart to navigate through any GT traffic he comes up on as Landon Duggar comes out of the pits. Our GTD contender making the call down pit road. Looking at time and scoring, there's only been 4 guys that have made a trip down pit road as Carlos Ruiz Padilla becomes the 5th of our runners.
Yeah.
Ryan Frankenberry and Derek Tyndall. This battle keeps raging, Alex.
Yeah, Nicolas Lanciers has just got a black flag penalty, so he's going to have to make another pit stop. That is possibly more than likely for a pit lane infraction, possibly speeding or crossing the white line on exit, heading up into T1. Meantime, Puebla and Perez battling away tooth and nail for second and third in the GTP side of things. Derek Tyndall, who normally runs with you, Brian, when we have the Apex this Porsche Cup on Tuesdays, but looks like Puebla is going to bring the Ferrari 499P into the pits and decides, right, okay, let's see if I can do something a little bit special here. And that's going to be quite crucial because with Puebla having pitted early, Landon Stewart, I'm just wondering how long it's going to be before he decides to pit, as Matt Vincalstol pits in GTD Pro in the number 43 Mercedes, sorry, not Mercedes, Ferrari. So Christian Ruiz leads the way in the number 777 car, ahead of Guilherme Chavez, the number 37 McLaren. But as we approach the halfway point of this 60-minute encounter, just to give you, before the top 5 rundown here at HPR Imsa Round 3 Season 6, let's have a reminder and a big shout out to our sponsors of the league. Firstly to Hymo Setups. First of all, and along with them, Monster Designs, Admin Box, Smile Theory, and Colorist Art Supplies. But top 5 rundown at the moment. GTP at the moment, Landon Stewart leads as we still continue to see the battle between Tyndall and Frankenberry, who are now battling over P3. Landon Stewart leads Adolfo Perez by over 7.4 seconds after contact between Perez and Puebla. Puebla now currently down in P8 in the class. Derek Tyndall from Maximum Effort Motorsports in the number 3 Caddy, just 0.8 of a second ahead of Ryan Frankenberry in the Misfits 2 Slow Racing Cadillac, with Donald Ingham Jr. rounding out the top 5. Brian, how are things looking in LMP2 with the top 5 at the moment?
Yeah, Ryan Anderson, he's got a commanding lead, 13 seconds in hand over Jace Larson, who's got a further 11 seconds in hand over Jason Blaine. That rounds out your top 3 in class. Had some pit stops, so it's shaking up a little bit of the field from 4th on back. Kenneth Gloden is currently sitting in P4, and Carlos Ruiz Padilla, he's the first of our LMP2 class to make a trip down pit lane. He's currently sitting in P5.
Okay, then heading over to GTD Pro, it's the 777 Ferrari 296 GT3 of Christian Ruiz, the man from Puerto Rico, leading the way by 9.2 seconds. Guilherme Chavez in the number 37 McLaren 720 SGT3 Evo rounds out P2, and having made his first pit stop on lap 12, it's the Marlboro liveried number 18 Ferrari of Jacob Groove from the USA. Matt Karstov has also taken a pit stop, and he has just gone very, very wide indeed. That is the top 4 rundown for GTD Pro. And back to Brian for an update on GTD.
Yeah, Pierre Laporte is winning the battle of Lamborghinis at the moment. He's sitting in the top spots. He's got the Mercedes, the Mexican driver Gonzalo Abascal, currently 24 seconds back from him. Currently sitting in P3, the lone Corvette of Donald Powell, and a further 7 seconds adrift of the Mercedes. P4, Landon Duggar, he was in that battle with Laporte, the battle of the Lamborghinis, but he's made a trip down pit road, so he's out of it at the moment. And Andrew Davis, well, as you can see, he is rolling out of his pit box now, and he's rounding out your top 5 in GTD.
Okay, a lot of pit stops now happening. Anderson, Larson, Clodin and Blaine, they have all come into pit lane. Anderson is already out back onto the circuit. And this is going to give possibly an opportunity to Carlos. Oh, and Ryan Frankenberry has spun the caddy around. And he was right with Derek Tyndall when we ran through our top 5. John Weinreich is now going to have to serve a pit lane penalty. So might have hit his instant point limit as Ryan Frankenberry right in front of Derek Tyndall spins the car, and Derek gets a get out of jail free, so to speak. Just going to look, and it's those sausage curves again that just unsettle the rear end of a prototype. As Frankenberry, yeah, complete opposite lock, left hand down. Derek Tyndall says thank you very much. Frankenberry after that decides to dive down into pit road.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, looking as we were approaching the halfway mark, Alex, normally we've seen 2 stops from our drivers in these 60-minute IMSA races, but with most of these drivers getting past the halfway point before coming down pit road, should only need the 1 stop. Full fuel, full tires, I would expect, as I said at the top of the show. From testing and practice, the rear tires get down into the low 60s, and I think Ryan Frankenberry demonstrated that perfectly, that at any point in time, the rear end can just give up the ghost when it comes to traction. Nothing you really do wrong, just a little bit too much steering input or a little bit of too heavy of a brake in your rear locks brake or lock up, and that's all she wrote. So definitely the longer our drivers circulate out there with low fuel and worn tires, the more that they're playing against the house on trying to see what they can get out of their cars on this first stint. As Adrian Puebla, he's found potentially the wall that looks like the start of the S's, potentially turn 5 or 6. We'll have to see what happened there.
This is going to be, yeah, oh, this is at big speed as well. And, oh, on the sausage curb. Yeah, that's upset the front end, and the back end's decided to turn it around. I think also one of the big things we're going to see on onboard here, and it's through the right, then into the left, he's going to catch the sausage curb, and all of a sudden, rotational mass, E equals MC squared, and Adrian Puebla cannot, unfortunately, defy the laws of physics in that 499p Ferrari. But I think also brake bias has got to be something that the drivers are going to have to consider as well on these cars. Be it GTP, be it LMP2 or GTD, you've got to find that nice little bit of a sweet spot of how hard the brakes are going to be activated, depending on where your brake balance is set on these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know on some of the LMDH cars, so like the Cadillac here of Derek Tyndall, you actually have a driver controllable setting of brake bias mitigation, which as you're braking, it's changing the bias, something I believe to do with the hybrid system. I'm sure there's more expert people out there than myself that can correct me if I have that wrong, but just really delving into the complexities of these hybrid prototype machines that our drivers are wrangling around this 20-turn circuit, and any little setting that you have off can throw off the balance of the car, whether it's a bad sway bar setting that's controllable from the cockpit, the brake bias, as you said, hybrid settings, what have you. It all plays a factor. So it's not quite piloting a rocket ship, but it's not far off.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that you're going to have a lot of negative torque exerted on the rear wheels by the kinetic motor generator unit, which is attached to the rear axle. And so what that basically does, and for that, I'm not going to go technical on everybody because I know people won't understand me. But effectively, what the car does is that as soon as you stamp on those brakes, the kinetic motor generator unit at the back end of it is going to convert that energy into, propulsion. So sometimes that brake bias needs to be well managed, and you've got to sort of try and harvest that energy in the rear end of the vehicle. But if you go a bit too all guns blazing and you're trying to get through corners like we saw with Adrian Puebla, if that car's trying to harvest energy, well, that will probably cause an issue with the rear end trying to turn itself around and become the front of the car.
Absolutely. As we see Adolfo Perez, he's one of the last drivers to take a trip down pit road. Landon Stewart is the last driver that I can see. And I take it back, there are some GTD Pro drivers that have not made a trip down pit road. But of our prototype ranks, Landon Stewart is the last of our drivers out there to make a trip down pit road. So showing that the BMW has excellent fuel mileage, although when he was enjoying that 9-second gap after the mishap between Perez and Puebla, I'm sure he was able to do quite a bit of lifting and coasting, and navigating some of this traffic will help that as well, as Andrew Bruce has had a moment down into turn 12. I'm going to guess maybe a cold tire brake lock-up moment as we see him weaving, trying to get some heat in the tires, and just misses his brake point and wants to go explore the Texas Lone Star out there, painted in the runoff at turn 12.
Yeah, it looks like it was the left front that he locked up on. And yeah, I think it's going to be the case now. That gap between Landon Stewart and Adolfo Perez is nigh on 43 seconds. So this might help him to quite easily. I mean, he's looking at Adolfo Perez's last on his pit stop, stationary for 19.5 seconds on lap 18. So Landon Stewart might, if he can get a 19-second or maybe slower pit stop time as he comes into pit lane, this is going to be the crucial moment. This pit stop is going to decide how the GTPs end up in terms of their pecking order, because now Adolfo Perez is into the final quarter of the race circuit, so it's in the fourth and final sector here at the 20-turn anti-clockwise 3.427 mile circuit here at COTA. That gap is going to start whittling its way down as Adolfo Perez has got Christian Ruiz right in front of him. Whew. Careful, boys. Careful. Christian Ruiz, you are not in a battle with Adolfo Perez. I'm sorry to say that. 18.9. Landon Stewart on his marks. And here he comes out of pit lane, up the incline into T1. That is the lead secured for the number 26 BMW. And the gap has stayed at around about the 8-second marker. So good stop from Landon Stewart. That's also another thing that the drivers need to do on every single round here for HPR Imsa, and also for those that compete in HPR GT World Challenge, as Ryan Anderson has had a bit of a moment himself. It looks like turn 12 is catching a few drivers out here with 21 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's probably the heaviest braking point that our drivers have, and as you see, Ryan Anderson just gets deep into the brake zone, locks the left front once again, Alex, and rejoins right in front of the Acura of, I believe that was Donald Ingram Jr. Well, the more things change, Alex, the more they stay the same, as Ryan Frankenberry and Derek Tyndall have resumed their battle after the pit stops. They found each other once again on the circuit, even after Frankenberry had that spin, so not sure if Tyndall had a little bit of a slower outlap, only about a second difference in their time stopped in the box, but one way or another, they've been able to find themselves, and the battle rages on.
Yeah, so as they say, opposites do attract in the final sector. Well, Derek Tyndall on sector 4 last time round was 0.3 of a second slower than Frankenberry, who put in a 2:05.18. Frankenberry, that was for Frankenberry's time, 2:09.48 for Derek Tyndall. So there you can see the difference over the last 5 laps provided by Hymo. But just under, well, coming up to 19.5 minutes to go, and Adolfo Perez seems to be closing in on Ryan Frankenberry and just set his fastest second sector of the race so far, 26.8, whereas Landon Stewart on cold brakes, cold tyres, 28.0 on sector 2. And, well, that was a 1:59.435 by Adolfo Perez. Next time around, we'll get an understanding of what the differential is between the BMW and the Porsche. Of course, it's going to take a little bit more time, maybe a couple of laps for Landon Stewart, as Matt Vinkastov closing in on Guilherme Chavez, as Christian Ruiz is the last of our runners on lap number 19. He's just done a 14.8 second pit stop, and the Ferrari trundles its way down pit lane before he can get on the gas and deactivate the pit lane speed limiter. And Jacob Grube closing in on Christian Ruiz in terms of the battle, and there is Jacob for the Warrior Racing outfit. The gap between them is 2.7 seconds. And they have got a little bit of traffic in between them, but Jacob Grube will try and close on in. I think that might be Jason Blaine that's actually stuck in between the pair of them. Oh no, it's one of the caddies. Might have been possibly Andrew Bruce in the number 7 car, not 100%. Well, no, that's the Acura. Probably Lucho Martinez is the one that was quickly in between the pair of them. So as they go down in towards the far part of the circuit here at COTA, Christian Ruiz looking for a well-needed victory to help himself in the standings here in this championship. But still, again, the quality is always here for HPR. We do see time and time again, Brian, that the drivers are really putting on a heck of a show here at the moment for us here in the commentary box.
Yeah, absolutely. As you saw the switchback attempt there between Guilherme Chavez and the Ferrari of Grube, a little bit of coming together nose to tail there, as now Guilherme's going to look to the inside into turn 12 there. Kostov's going to hang it around the outside though, and he's going to have the preferred line going into 13.
Now, bearing in mind, in GTD Pro at the minute, Christian Ruiz for the last 2 rounds has placed 4th in both efforts, and Daniel Pino has ruled the roost in terms of race victories, winning both the season opener at Imola and then winning last time out at Spa-Francorchamps. With regards to the other divisions in GTD, Pierre Laporte and Curtis Polisu have taken respective victories in LMP2. Nicolai Sanchez and Ryan Anderson have both picked up a win apiece, and Ryan Anderson looking for 2 in a row in the GTPs. Ryan Frankenberry and Adrian Puebla have both taken wins so far this season, and Landon Stewart could make it 3 different winners, and more to the point here, Brian, 3 different manufacturers. So Cadillac wins at Imola, Ferrari wins at Spa, and BMW could be the ruler of the roost, the roost here in the Lone Star State, as we've got just under 16 minutes to go. And Perez has had a big wobble somewhere. It was sector 2 on the last lap. He lost 10 seconds. So let's have a look what happens. Oh, it's going to be the twisty stuff, the complex through from turn 3 to turn 8. And just completely carrying too much momentum through, and Adolfo Perez throws the anchors out the back of it to stop the 963 number 92. And I think that has really much decided how this race is going to parlay out for Landon Stewart, as long as he keeps it on the black stuff and stays within track limits right up until the end of this 60-minute encounter, because we are into the final quarter, 45 minutes down, 15 to go.
Yeah, and I'm looking at timing and scoring, and there's Adrian Puebla has been hemorrhaging time to Derek Tyndall. That gap was 5 seconds. It's now currently about 2 seconds, and Tyndall just did his personal best of 1:59.256 the last time around. So could potentially see a battle for the final step on the podium developing here in the next few laps, as we've got a battle here between Gonzalo Abascal and Andrew Davis for the final battle on the GTD podium. They've got the LMP2 car. That's the number 6 of Kenneth Cloden working through there, trying not to interfere in this battle.
Yeah, Jay Allegrini gets a black flag penalty, so that number 13 Ferrari is going to have to take the trundle of shame down the pit lane, aka a drive-through penalty, and that's going to be more insult to injury because he's having to keep out of the way. Will Atom is going to put Jay Allegrini a lap down. So Will Atom currently P5 at the moment. Obviously there was the drama between himself and Gonzalo Abascal. So we've got another replay here. Guilherme Chaves now has dropped out of the top 3. So the Brazilian is going to take too much speed into the corner, locks up the brakes, all 4 tyres, leaving 11s on the circuit. So Guilherme Chaves is going to unfortunately put him more than likely off the podium. He's still got 13.5 minutes to close a 7-second gap down to Matvej Kalstov, but if those tyres have been dramatically affected by that big old lock-up where he was sideways, all 4 tyres locking up and sending smoke into the air, I don't think that's going to help him that much here, Brian.
No, definitely, and that was a little bit of an odd place to see a spin going through turn 14 there, but not sure what his tire condition is, but either way, he ended up losing it there. But somebody that's not losing it is Andrew Davis as he continues to apply the pressure to the Mexican in front of him of Gonzalo Abascal, our sole Mercedes driver, and they've got the Ferrari of Adolfo Perez coming up behind them in rapid pace, but he'll have to be patient through the S's section as they work their way up to turn 7, 8, and 9 here.
Yeah, so Adolfo Perez just having to wait, and then Abascal, I think saw, yeah, this is going to be a rapid closing speed and overtake by Perez as Davis to the outside. This is coming out of turn 11. So which one is going to be faster in a straight line speed? Is it going to be the twin turbo V8 underneath that long hood of that Aston Martin? He's bump drafting Abascal down the backstretch in towards turn 12. So the Aston having the legs on the Mercedes-Benz with its 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8 underneath that long snout. And Abascal takes the title line into turn 12, but Davis, can he throw something to the outside here into 13? He's going to give it a try, but the elbows of Abascal too far out for the man in the Aston Martin to try and get his way through. Nicolas Lanciers is getting out of the way and also causing himself some track limits problems, I think, because he's just got a black flag as into turns 16 to 18 go the duo. Falterbach versus Gaydon. Meantime, Adrian Puebla has got Derek Tyndall swarming all over his back bumper and also rear wing to boot. So Derek Tyndall, the man from Maximum Effort Motorsports. Right, Brian, because you're his teammate, what is the Has iRacing logo meant to represent? Is there a team name change coming in the books?
There is, yes. We are rebranding and currently working on that, so this is part of the effort that has been going on behind the scenes.
Good, thank you for answering that question, because I thought, well, as you're his teammate, I thought, well, who better to ask than your good self, sir? But Derek's really been, as you said, Puebla's been hemorrhaging time, because it's not just one caddy, it's 2, because Frankenberry's back there again as well. It seems like Derek and Ryan, they seem to have magnets in those caddies, which is why we see them so close together on the circuit.
Yeah, we're just hoping not to have a Joe to Cadillac situation where they end up running into each other, but either way, certainly hunting down the Ferrari of Puebla at the moment. Not sure if he's got some residual suspension damage from when he clattered the sausage curb going through the S's, or if he's trying to fuel save to not have to make a splash and dash at the end, considering he was one of our first runners to go down pit lane for full service as they're working their way through the battle we were watching earlier between Andrew Davis and Gonzalo Abascal. Abascal's going to have to take evasive maneuvers. Didn't account for the prototypes having to brake before them, not having ABS. They can't brake as quickly as the GT3 cars can.
That was close.
some rear end clenching moments there if you're in the shoes of Tyndall, as I'm sure he looked out the rear camera and saw the white Mercedes nose approaching very rapidly, and he was please saying, "Don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me." But that has broken Ryan Frankenberry away from this battle. What was a 3-car race is now a 2-car race, as Tyndall's trying to throw everything in the kitchen sink at Pueblo at the moment. Pueblo's trying to squeeze him, pinch him down into turn 20 there. A little bit of a cheeky maneuver there out of the Ferrari driver, but not paying attention, Ryan Frankenberry's also gotten by him.
Well, one step forward, steps back there for Adrian Pueblo, who is not very happy at all.
Oh no!
Eye bombs up the inside, rubs paintwork with Ryan Frankenberry, and it looks like there might have been a little bit more than just a little bit of TLC from Pueblo's contact with Frankenberry. Well, you could understand why he was frustrated, but I understand it's heat of the moment, and there we go again. Pueblo's just spun it around, and he's given himself a drive-through penalty. That is exactly what he does not need to have at that point. And, well, as they say, something's got to give. A little bit of a wobble there by Puebla. Some slight locking up there by Derek, but I think it was more the case that Puebla was trying to go for the crisscross there. But then Frankenberry just caught him napping. Puebla's got, I mean, in all honesty there, Brian, I think at the end of the day, Adrian Puebla might have nobody else to blame but himself for that, because he just got caught napping, and then he dive bombs up the inside, through into T1, little bit of a hip and shoulder check with Ryan Frankenberry, and Frankenberry gets through, and as if to say, well, Adrian, you know, you did it all yourself, and then through into turn 4, and it's turn 5 again that catches the Mexican out. Left front tyre catches the sausage curb, and around she goes.
Yeah, you could just see there through turn 1, and then also the gap closing, how fast it was through the S's, that unfortunately Puebla's probably driving with a little bit of red mist under his helmet there, is carried too much speed into the S's, and the tires were screaming at him saying, I don't know what you want from me. I can't hold the traction that much, as Gonzalo Abascal had a moment in front of Puebla there. This battle that was raging between Andrew Davis, he's going to lose it on his own, I think. I'll have to see if there's another camera angle to see if he got a little bit of a touch before braking for turn 15. Maybe some net code. No, I think Abascal lost that on his own. That would be the second time he's lost it in turn 15 there, unfortunately. But that has allowed Andrew Davis to clear off into the distance for a little bit.
Yeah, and so Adrian Puebla now comes down pit lane, started on pole position. It could have been Landon Stewart, who was at that point before Puebla put in his fastest lap, but went over 2 tenths quicker than Landon Stewart. Stewart was 7.5 tenths quicker before that final lap in the dying moments of time qualifying. But it was 6.25 minutes to go. We're looking at 2-minute laps, so I would probably say this and 3 more should be good enough for us to hit the checkered flag. But it is the BMW MV8 Hybrid Evo of Landon Stewart running in the Team WRT colours, it looks like, as well. So he's making sure that he's staying as true as he can to the WeatherTech IMSA Sports Car Championship, as he's closing in on Guilherme Chaves and now has a lead of nearly 20.21 seconds over Adolfo Perez. What a story it has been here at COTA. But nevertheless, this is going to help Adolfo Perez in the composite performance number 92 Porsche 963 Hybrid. And yeah, talking about real life IMSA racing, I mean, what about the big development of Matt Campbell, after so many years of being a Porsche Motorsport Works driver, is now going with Ford for their new LMDH Assault for next season, which I think has really caught the ears and eyes and attention of everybody, especially the ears, because they finally fired up the Coyote V8 that's going to be powering that prototype car next season. I'm really excited to see what it looks like, and then finally, when are we going to have the McLaren and the Ford on iRacing is the big question, Brian. That's what I'm wondering now.
Yeah, I know. iRacing's definitely got their work cut out for them between that, the Valkyrie, and potentially the Genesis as well. But yeah, the tease of the week, supposedly Ford was testing their prototype at Le Castellet this week, and everybody's itching for any sort of footage of the on-track running, and nothing has come out yet. So, but yeah, you mentioned Matt Campbell leaving Porsche after so many years and going to Ford. As a Porsche purist, it's been a rough year for Porsche drivers. With the Campbell announcement and then the news of Kevin Estre going to longtime rival Toyota in the WEC. But he will still drive for Porsche and Imsa, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic. But yes, definitely interesting 2027 is shaping up to be for sports car racing, both here stateside and overseas in WEC.
Yeah, definitely. As here we go, Pierre Laporte and Landon Duggar with 3 3/4 minutes left to go. Laporte runs wide, and that is going to give an open door to Landon Duggar, who has got an LMP2 right on his case. That is Carlos Ruiz Padilla, who's going to go very wide, and this is through turns 16 to 18. Ruiz Padilla just about makes it through, squeezes through at the last moment possible, through into turn 19. But there was enough room for him to make the manoeuvre. Whether he was all 4 wheels within track limits, difficult to tell by the camera angle. But nevertheless, Carlos Ruiz Padilla is holding on to P3 in the class. He's about 20 seconds behind Chase Larson at the minute. As Landon Duggar and Pierre Laporte into turn 1. Laporte very late on the brakes, but loses all that momentum with the dive bomb send. In time, we are on lap 29 out of 30 here at HPR Imsa for round 3 of season 6. And of course, one of the other things that our season 6 champions for all the respective classes will get an entry. As Jace Larson is now going to have to serve a drive-through penalty, which is going to put Carlos Ruiz Padilla into that second spot as long as he does not overstep the incident point limit. Of course, it's 15 for the first drive-through, 10 for every subsequent drive-through. So developments happening all up and down the order. And Landon Stewart, what has happened to him? Oh dearie me, I cannot believe it. Just going through was Matvey Kalstov. So Landon Stewart, with 2 minutes to go, has a big wobble, and this is going to be turn 12 again. Let's see what the BMW does on corner entry. Straight in. Is this going to be? Yeah, it's a little bit too early on the power, but manages to stop it very quickly. Only loses about 3 to 3.5 seconds on that slight mistake, but he has got 1 more lap to go. We're about to go on to the white flag lap here at Circuit of the Americas with 1 minute and 30 still to go. Landon Duggar saying to the car in front, right, gets out of my way. White flag in the air. 3.4 miles to go, and Landon Stewart is going to make it 3 winners from 3 different races in the GTP side of things, but more to the point that we have had Ferrari on the top. We've had Cadillac on the top step, Ferrari on the top step, and BMW looks to do the same. We'll just have to wait to see when Acura and Porsche this season will have that opportunity. But Laporte trying to close in on Duggar as they go on to their 28th and final lap. Competitiveness always up and down the order here in the Imsa series. And Brian, it has been a drama-filled one here in the Lone Star State tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As we kind of predicted at the top of the show with the dynamic racing that multiclass puts on around the Circuit of the Americas here in Austin, Texas, as they work their way around the Ferrari of Jay Allegheny there. But yeah, traffic management just as important as tire management around here, as we've seen there. Can't expect cars to just disappear, and for some of our prototype drivers, they have struck trouble trying to work their way around our slower GT class drivers. But I just want to point out, though, for Jace Larson, he might have lucked out on this one. Even with the drive-through, he has still come out 5 seconds ahead of Carlos Ruiz Padilla. So even though he has well and truly lost any hope, barring a catastrophic issue for Ryan Anderson, knock on wood, we will not commentators curse him. He will look to maintain and hold his second place in LMP2. But Alex, for Landon Stewart, I'm not sure. We'll talk to him after the race, but I'm not sure he expected to have a chance of winning this one here tonight.
No, so round 3 in the books for season 6 of the High Point Racing Imsa series here at Circuit of the Americas. Out of the final corner, it's 3 different winners, 3 different manufacturers. Landon Stewart in the 26 BMW M Hybrid Evo takes the win here in Austin, Texas, after 30 laps, despite dramas for several other drivers. And Landon Duggar is going to be more than likely the next winner to cross the line, and he's going to take a win in GTD. Nip and tuck between him and Pierre Laporte. So the 169 Valvoline Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2 will cross the stripe. Pierre Laporte has had problems. A little bit further back, Christian Ruiz is the second ever winner in GTD Pro this season, following Daniel Pino. So looks like Pierre Laporte did have an issue in that final sector, lost a big amount of time, but it is going to be 2 for 2 for the Crown Strike Dallara P217. Ryan Anderson did not join us at Imola, but ruled the roost in the Ardennes Forest just last week, and 7 days later, back over stateside to Circuit of the Americas, the number 42 car, heading into the final few corners of this racetrack. And he has definitely made sure that he is here not just to make up the numbers, and it's going to make him a 2-time winner. So Spa-Francorchamps, now we can add Circuit of the Americas. It's time to just calm it down a little bit after Jace Larson got a drive-through penalty, keeps him in P2, but Ryan Anderson wins here at COTA in LMP2, 2 in a row for the man himself in the HPR Crown Strike liveried Dallara P217. But Christian Ruiz, what a run he's had. 4th in the opening 2 races of the season. And for the 777 Ferrari, he's already won in GT World Challenge Season 10. He can now add Season 6, Round 3 as a class victory here in GTD Pro. Christian Ruiz wins here at COTA.
Yeah, fantastic result for our class winners. Definitely an exciting race. One of the greatest parts of Circuit of the Americas. I genuinely wish more people would break the stigma, break their fears, and come experience this wonderful facility. I am biased, as we mentioned at the top of the hour, being that it is my home track here in Austin, Texas. But, well, putting all that aside, it is just a fantastic sports car facility, as our racers demonstrated here tonight, Alex.
Yes, indeed. And with that in mind, Landon Stewart is definitely lighting up the rear tyres on that BMW M8 Hybrid here at COTA. But very shortly, we'll be getting underway with our admin box post-race interview show here on Racer Nexus. But there you go. I'm wondering if you can actually get the tyres to blow up on the rear axle. But more to the point, this man has definitely deserved it. 3 different winners overall, 3 different manufacturers, Ferrari, Cadillac, and now BMW. Landon Stewart wins after 30 laps here at COTA, ahead of Adolfo Perez and Derek Tyndall in the Maximum Effort Motorsports Cadillac. Number 3 rounds out the top 3 in the division. Ryan Frankenberry and Donald Ingham Jr. ran at the top 5. Lucho Martinez, P6. Ahead of Adrian Puebla. Could have been a very different story had the number 21 Ferrari not struck trouble more than once here tonight. Andrew Bruce, Tim Keane, Wig Santiago rounding out the finishers. Travis Stevens not making it to the grid. LMP2, it's 2 for 2 for the number 42 for Ryan Anderson, winning by over 40 seconds ahead of Jace Larson, who had a bit of a scare with a late minute drive-through penalty. And he finishes ahead of the HBR Overlord, as is more commonly known in these parts. Number 14 from Puerto Rico, Carlos Ruiz Padilla rounds out the top 3 with Jason Blaine, Kenneth Clodin and Nicolas Lanciers all making it to the checkered flag. Christian Ruiz takes his first win here in Season 6 in the number 777 car, and it's a Ferrari 1-2-3 with Jacob Grube and Matvey Kansov Rounding out the top 3, bit of a difficult one for Guilherme Chaves in the number 37 McLaren. Rounding out 4th with Daniel Pino, not here tonight. He will be back with us next week. Landon Duggar wins the battle of the Raging Bulls from Sant'Agata Bolognese, as Pierre Laporte has a bit of drama in the final sector on the last lap. Duggar winning by 11.4 seconds, with Andrew Davis and the number 25 Aston Martin rounding out the top 3 after a great battle with Mexico's Gonzalo Abascal and the number 17 Mercedes-Benz. Donald Powell rounds out the top 5 ahead of Will Atom, John Weinreich and Jay Allegrini. Now it's time to turn our attention to our admin box post-race interview show. And well, first of all, let's bring in our GTD race winner. Let's bring him in. Landon Duggar, congratulations. You are our round 3 winner here in GTD at COTA. And first of all, you take with that a 1-month HIMO subscription. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a tough one. I had damage going on the first full lap of the race. Had damage. Had to deal with that for the next, I don't know, about 20 minutes or so, and was able to pit, get a fast repair done, and yeah, got back out there.
Well, Pierre definitely gave you a lot to think about tonight, because it was the battle of the Raging Bulls here in Austin, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I hope nobody's mad at me. I for the slight contact, it was like one of those 4X contacts that really shouldn't have been a 4X. But yeah, I mean, I got it done, so yeah, I'm pretty happy.
So I think really with regards to how the season is looking in GTD at the moment, bearing in mind this is round 2, last time out at Spa, didn't go your way, but you pick up a win. This puts you within 4 points of Pierre Laporte, making you the 3rd different race winner so far. So Pierre, yourself and Curtis have all picked up a win apiece, but you're only 4 points behind going into next time out at Silverstone. How do you think the Lamborghini is going to handle there?
I don't know. The Lamborghini, I'm not too happy with it this season. I like this race today at COTA. I had to run a Run America setup because there was no setup for the Lamborghini at COTA with the Go setups that I used. But I think I'm gonna switch to HIMO. They sound a lot better. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to next week, and I have to practice a lot. I'm not too good at that track yet at Silverstone. But yeah, I'm excited.
Well, Landon, thank you so much for joining us here in the Admin Box post-race interview show. Before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to dedicate this victory to?
Yeah, just boys at HPR, and then y'all guys in the commentary booth. It's awesome.
Brilliant. Landon, congratulations on the W. Victory lane here at COTA. We'll see you next week at the home of British Motorsport for round 4 at Silverstone. Well done tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we're going to bring in our LMP2 class winner. He's standing by, Ryan Anderson, alongside Brian Zinn.
Yeah, Ryan Anderson, our LMP2 winner here tonight. Ryan, we were talking as the race started about the pace overlap between you guys that were rapid in the LMP2 and some of our slower GTP cars. How was that navigating for the first few laps?
It caught me off guard, I won't lie. The pace difference. The LMP2s compared to the GTPs, like when the tires are cold, the LMP2s are like way faster through the corners because they're significantly lighter. So I was on the formation lap, I was leaving a good like 8 to 10 second gap, but right by turn 1, like just going into the braking zone, probably gained like 4 seconds immediately. So we caught them, and then there were a couple laps in the beginning where I was actually fighting with some of them. So not ideal, but I had to pull a gap from my rival behind me. But the race went well. Pretty confident going into this race. I like COTA. It's one of my favorites. Had a really good car, really good setup that I made. So just put down a really good quali lap. Just did 2 kind of warm-up laps, and then the 3rd lap I just went for it and got a really good lap in. And then just kind of maintained good pace throughout the race. The tire wear, at least in the prototypes, is very high. So there was definitely a lot of tire management going on for me, which did help me in the end, build up more and more of a gap. So just pretty standard, just race your own race, stay on your line, and manage your tires. And that's how I was able to get it done.
Absolutely. Well, it's nice to find a fellow enjoyer of Coda. We were talking about the duality of the iRacer on whether they love or hate Coda, but there doesn't really seem to be an in-between. But looking ahead to next week, Silverstone, similar but also equally different, and as a 1 month subscription winner to Hymo Setups, how's your outlook looking heading across the pond to the home of British Motorsports?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I just checked the standings before going into this race. It was really close, and I know I got the win, put it on pole, and I got fastest lap, so that's really good points for the championship. So I don't know if I'm leading now, but I might be. But going into Silverstone, obviously feel confident, not too much pressure, and just looking forward to it. You'll definitely see me here next week.
Well, we certainly hope to talk to you after a fantastic result next week as well. But before we let you get out of here and celebrate tonight, any folks you'd love to give a shout out to?
Shout out to High Point Racing, Carlos, for obviously putting this together. You guys, the broadcasters, putting on a show for everyone. And shout out to Jace Larson, my friend, and also my rival, who was sticking with me for definitely the first few laps of the race. He's definitely a quick one, and I'm sure at Silverstone he'll probably be quick. So shout out to him, and yeah, until next week.
Absolutely. Well, it's always nice to have your rivals as friends or vice versa. But either way, congratulations on your victory here tonight at Coda in the LMP2 class, Ryan, and we hope to talk to you next week.
Yep, see you, man.
Yeah, and I can actually confirm that Ryan Edison is leading Carlos Ruiz going into Silverstone next week by 1 point. We're now going to head to GTD Pro. It's winner chicken dinner finally after the opening 2 rounds, finishing P4. Christian Ruiz joins us, our GTD Pro winner. Well, Christian, a win in HPR GT World Challenge, and now you add round 3 here at COTA to your winning tally here in the Imsa series. How are you feeling, buddy?
Good, definitely a confidence booster. The last few races haven't been the best, but to put a gap on the field, it definitely feels good and bringing the momentum to the next race.
Yeah, I think with the fact that with yourself and Jacob, you know, you guys were battling really hard in the opening stint. I think Matt Vey at one point, you know, was catching you guys, but then he started to drop off a little bit. Gilherm was also in the mix. It could have gone anyway this week, couldn't it?
Oh yeah, it was definitely a 3-way fight for the win, but glad I came out on top. Jacob Group definitely gave me a good fight. So.
Yeah, nice to see you switch. Well, you switching up the livery on the 777 Ferrari this week, putting on the very predominant blue color this time around. Do you think that might have been a little bit of a good luck charm for tonight?
I think so. I thought about that before the race.
So does that possibly mean we might see that this coming week at Miami, this coming Sunday night for round 4 of GT World Challenge then?
I'll rock something Miami themed.
Silverstone next week, Christian. Very similar in its construction to COTA. Very fast flowing track, 75% full throttle. How do you think the Ferrari's going to handle there, buddy?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I haven't really tested yet, but I feel good in the car. It's a track that I like a lot, so I think I can do well there next week as well.
Well, in many respects, the way things are, you are now the new points leader, ahead of Gilhelm by just 1 point heading into Silverstone. So a nice sort of way to end a Thursday night's bit of racing here on HPR, wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely a good way to end Thursday night.
Well, before we let you go, Christian, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you have a little bit of a respite ready for GT World Challenge Miami this coming Sunday night at 9 PM Eastern?
Shout out to Jacob Group. Definitely made it tough. Gave me a good fight at the beginning, but I overcut him on the fuel and drove away, but he definitely gave me a good fight for the win, so shout out to Jacob.
Brilliant. Christian, congratulations on your first win here in Season 6 of Imsa. Look forward to catching up with you hopefully this week on Sunday at Miami for round 4 of GT World Challenge. Well done on the win tonight.
Thank you.
And one more interviewee for our post-race interview show, standing by with Brian Zinn. It's 3 different winners, 3 different manufacturers, as he's joined by race winner Landon Stewart.
Yeah, Landon Stewart making it 3 for 3 here this week, taking the BMW LMDH Hybrid Evo to the top step. Landon, coming into tonight's race, you qualified second. Did you think you had a chance for the race victory, or were you kind of surprised at how things played out?
Both. I'm surprised at how things played out. I didn't expect to win by that much. I knew I had a chance. I mean, the top 3, we were all trying to work together to get away from the pack and then start fighting after the first stint. That was the plan. As you can see, it didn't go to plan. But it was a good race. Physical though.
Yeah, it certainly looked like in the early stages you were able to get the tires on your BMW up to temperature a little bit quicker than perhaps Adolfo Perez was in his Porsche. But both of you guys were definitely trying to run down Puebla in the Ferrari through the first couple of laps. But you said you were trying to work together to run away from the pack. Were you guys going to plan on doing that through the first pit stop, and then it was going to be a free-for-all from there?
Exactly. That was kind of our plan.
All right, well, as things switch to the other side of the pond over to Silverstone, how is your confidence going into week 4?
Obviously, I've got pretty high confidence coming off my first win in my BMW. First win I've had in the series since last season, so it's been a minute. But it's a big confidence boost going into the next week. I'll have to practice more than I did tonight, though.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly ratcheted up the level of competition in GTP this season. A lot of fast guys, but you definitely are one of those as well. But before we let you get out of here and celebrate your victory here tonight, Landon, any folks you'd love to give a shout out to?
I'd love to give a shout out to High Point Racing, Carlos for setting this up, and our sponsors, Hymo, SimGrid. They all combined to make this work, and it's amazing what they've done. Truly amazing.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly love calling it from up here in the booth as well, and hope to talk to you next week after another great week at Silverstone.
Yes, sir.
Well, that wraps up our admin box post-race interview show, and that is it from us here at Racer Nexus. Thank you so much for joining us here for round 3 of the HPR IMSA series. Brought to you courtesy of myself, Alex Goldschmidt. Brian's in alongside me in the Global Broadcast Centre, and our producer behind the scenes. A big thank you to Marshall Crocker. We also have to thank our sponsors of the league. A big thank you, first of all, to Hymo Setups, Monster Designs, Admin Box, Smile Theory, and Colorist Art Supplies. Without their support, we would not be racing. So a big thank you to all of their assistance in making this league work. Well, the dust settles here in the Lone Star State as the home of British motorsport in Silverstone, just outside of Towcester in Northamptonshire, will be the battleground for HPR IMSA Season 6, round number 4, with fast pace and frantic overtaking around a 3.66 mile circuit that hosted the first ever Formula 1 World Championship Grand Prix back in 1950. A big thank you to everyone that has been watching along with us. But looking at the standings, Frankenberry leads into Silverstone by 13 points in GTP. Ryan Anderson leads by just 1 single point, and the top 3 in LMP2 covered by 3 going into next week. Christian Ruiz is the new points leader in GTD Pro, and Pierre Laporte leads Landon Duggar by just 4 points in GTD. What will happen in the United Kingdom next week? Well, you're going to have to join us, same place, same time, in just 7 days, but we'll find out live as it happens here on Racer Nexus. Until next time, we'll see you then. Good night.